Brian Rapaport Stereo Podcast. My man from Philadelphia.
The Philadelphies.
Jamie Kennedy, who every now and then people think I was in Malibu's Most Wanted, but the person that I get recognized and mistaken for the most is, I understand why, although it's so far out, is Woody Harrelson from White Man Can't Jump. I don't know why. It's not Woody Harrelson from anything else.
Wow.
It's just sometimes people go Malibu's Most Wanted to me, and then sometimes people go White Man Can't Jump, but they never go like another Woody Harrelson movie.
Dude.
It's from the Association from Basketball, which I believe the first time I met you, Jamie. No, I just remembered the first time I met you, but you used to also, correct me if I'm wrong, play in the Celebrity Basketball League here.
Bro, this hurts me. We were on the same team.
There's nothing memorable about my game or nothing memorable about your game.
Yo, Raja?
Yes.
Raja?
Yes.
So he used to run practices. Remember that?
Yes.
We used to do that. But we were never, it wasn't always, we were there sometimes, and then sometimes we were working. But yeah, we had a good season.
The Celebrity All-Star
Brian
League.
McKnight always would drain from the three.
But he would drain from three. But if you're shooting 35 shots,
yeah,
you're going to catch fire at a certain point.
Yeah.
And Brian McKnight, he could play.
Yeah.
But he also he just didn't care about passing.
He really didn't know what that was.
At all.
Yeah.
And like I said, he would get hot. But if you're shooting 35 shots, you might go on like an 8-shot streak.
Yeah.
And then miss 7 and then get on another like 7-shot streak.
You were always good for about 8 and 12, I would say.
8 and 12 fouls.
Wait, but I got in. I would come in second, third string, get a couple of garbage grabs, maybe one, put back. I was back.
So much fun.
Dude, the best, like legit like Pookie.
Yes.
Pookie was like the king of the league.
Yes.
And so we had legit ballers.
Yes.
And then we had actors. But
who do you remember that could play?
Oh, well, obviously Brian, but really
you keep going to Brian McKnight. No disrespect Brian McKnight.
I'm going to give you two. Are you ready? Who taught me how to have a left was Mark Blucas.
He could play.
Blucas
could play. He was legit.
Because he's fucking Wake Forest Tim.
He played with Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
He didn't count.
And Dean Cain.
Dean Cain could play too.
He could play. He also told me how to do a little crossover.
You know who could play before he started making a lot of money and before he put on his weight, and I tell him to say his face? Kevin Hart used to be like one of those quick.
Really?
Kevin Hart used to be able to play. He would like be one of those quick, really short.
Wow.
He could play before he
was not in our league. He was
in it. He was in and out, but I saw him. I was like, he could play.
Wow.
Because it was like you'd see people that had game, but it would be like, oh, they used to be able to play. Then you'd see people like, no disrespect, Will Ferrell. Like you're out there with him, you don't know what's going on because it's like it's so funny.
Yes.
Borat would be out there sometimes.
Yeah.
You're like, I can't take this. Tobey Maguire plays like he's on fire, like he literally like his body's on fire.
Yeah.
But it was
he's
just
a hard defender, Toby.
right.
He's always swatting the ball.
Yeah,
away.
because he doesn't know if he's like, but that's it. Just
I think Timberlake had some game.
Ish.
Yeah, he could hit a couple outsiders.
But I think that's when we first met.
Yeah, that's when we first met. Like, it was like the league started, and it was amazing. They would swag us up. We had all NBA EL. Remember that? NBA Entertainment League. So you had to be an actor or a musician or whatever.
Which you already know, like the competitiveness goes on here.
Well, everybody thought they were so good.
Because also they'd give us real uniforms. We all got dope sneakers on.
Yeah.
Like you have like on like a Lakers jersey, like it's the real jersey, the real weight. Why they were taping our ankles beforehand, I have no idea. They'll stretch you.
Bro, we had dude,
why would we waste
we
somebody's
had practices. We had a practice in WeHo, and you were running a drill. I don't think you remember. You're like, all right, layups. We were running drills.
But why did somebody?
And Baron Davis, shout out, who put up like $30 million for the gym or whatever.
But why would they pay somebody to tape people's ankles that are not jumping 6 to? No one's jumping over a foot higher than the ground, and the speed. You can't twist an ankle when you're going at the speed of anybody in this league.
Like you're going at half a step.
Little Bow Wow was in the league.
Oh, Bow Wow, he ran a lot.
He ran a lot. Yeah. Another one didn't like to pass.
He didn't love to pass.
Jamie Foxx, who I'm so happy you're feeling good.
Yes.
So happy you're feeling healthy.
Yes.
I remember Jamie Foxx played the morning of the Oscars before he won the Oscar for Ray, we had a game, and I was like, why are you here? And number one. And number two, I was like, he didn't pass. And I was like, if I got nominated for Best Actor, I'm not passing to anybody.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
this is like, it's a game, but this is really just me getting up shots.
Yeah. He literally played on the morning of Ray.
Were you there that day?
I wasn't, but I remember that. That was crazy.
He played that Sunday morning before the Oscars and then won the Oscar the same night.
A legend. And probably won the game.
No.
No.
I'm so good. He's glad he's feeling good.
Me too.
But I will tell Jamie to the day we all pass, he has no game. But big star, so he's able to shoot. And when you're Oscar nominated and the Oscars are that night, you're gonna shoot as much as you want.
Yeah, you can let him shoot.
Let it fly.
Who was the sneaky guy who was good besides the people I named? Those are all.
It was always the guys that you wouldn't like. Wood Harris was good.
Yes.
Wood could play.
Yes.
Dean Cain, Blucas, those guys were good.
Homie, the
Steve Howie was nice.
yeah, Howie,
And he talked a lot of shit.
yeah, I think Howie
was good.
I think he played in college.
Or he could have.
Yeah, he was big. Well, those elbows hit the side of your head.
He's big and he talks shit and he was young and he could play. And he's another one, liked to shoot.
Yeah.
Got in the zone and was nutty. But he was on my team and like he would get it popping.
He was who's the dude from the Thunder, like with the goatee.
Like a Steve Adams.
Yeah, he was a Steve Adams type.
Yes, but he could play.
Flex
Could play too.
and Bill Bellamy.
Nope.
No,
I tell Bill. Bill's
Come
athletic.
on, man.
Bill was
He came on clean.
crazy athletic, clean,
Clean.
run up and down the floor, fast as shit. Looked like he should be able to play, couldn't play. I tell him this also. Flex could play. Bill Bellamy couldn't play, but looked like he could play.
Wow. Flex passed, but you had to make it. If you didn't make it,
The Queens would come out in him. I think he's from Queens. Anyway, Jamie Kennedy, we've been friends.
Yeah.
You got your podcast. You also, when I started doing stand-up about 5 years ago, you were encouraging to start doing stand-up for me, like to get back into it. You've had a great career. Do you feel like you've had a great career? Because I'll be honest, I see you sometimes on social media. I'm like, yo, you've had a lot of fucking dope shit. And also, I feel like sometimes you know, the way you articulate yourself on social media, I feel like sometimes I get the sense that I'm like, you're not done. I hope you don't think you're done. Like, I feel like you have a lot to offer. I feel like we all have a lot to offer. But sometimes I'm like, you've done a lot, and there's 35, 40 more years, knock on wood, that you could keep rocking. But how do you feel about your career at this point in your life when you look back at the amount of shit that you've done? Because you've done a lot of shit.
I'm blessed. You know what I mean? Like, I have done a lot, and I think about that, and I don't, I hope I do still have a lot of juice in the, squeeze, a lot of in the tank, but it's like, I'm trying, we're out there. And
right.
And I think about some of the shit I've done. Like, I've been in Three Kings, David O. Russell, Tony Scott, Will Smith, Enemy of the State, Bowfinger. I've been so blessed. And then I got to do my own stuff.
Right.
And it's like, the business is so different. It's so wild right now. And I think there's a lot of underutilized assets that a lot of us that have a lot of good careers. You know what I mean? You are one of them. You've done more than me. Like, I'm very happy with what I've done, but I'm also like, yo, I could do a little more.
Of course.
You know what I mean? There's definitely times I'm sure you feel like this.
All the time.
That you feel like I'm not being utilized enough.
100%.
One time I was in audition and you weren't there. You were coming. But it was me. We were all reading for this Katherine Heigl movie, and none of us thought we should be reading. It was the hit. I think it was when she was a hit woman. Remember that movie? You were involved.
Katherine Heigl. She's the girl.
From Grey's Anatomy. And
yes, Knocked Up.
Knocked Up.
Yes.
So it was. I was reading for it. Lillard was reading for it. Jay Moore was reading for it, and you were reading for it.
Right.
And we'd all been in like movies that all made $100 million. And I was just like, that's when the business started hitting me different.
To articulate what that's like, whatever that movie was, and no disrespect to Katherine Heigl, but if you don't get it, you don't remember. I don't know which one of us got it or didn't get it.
Another guy. None of us got it.
And you go into
It was
audition.
9 a.m. 5 pages of fucking massive dialogue.
And what, we were like a cop?
No, we're
A
like-
dumb cop,
no, we're
smart
like
cop, a
drug-
corrupt cop,
drug
dealer,
Yeah.
a fun drug dealer, right?
Yeah,
Because we're going to play the fun drug
Yeah,
dealers.
fun. Little edge at times, but we're gonna keep it funny.
But I saw, because I was going through some of your clips, and I follow you on social media,
Appreciate that.
at Jamie Kennedy.
Yes, Jamie Kennedy.
Or at the Jamie
The
Kennedy.
Jamie Kennedy on Instagram. Jamie Kennedy everywhere else.
One time, well, for me, and I'll tell you a moment, there was one time I was reading for some movie in New York, and I had looked at the list of people that had come, because I've always done that. Who else has read? You know, and I remember it was to play a cop. This is like 10, 12 years ago. It's to play a cop, a New York cop. Okay,
Which is like
it's like, okay, so
That's him.
you either want me, but the list was like
entry level.
me, Kevin Corrigan,
Yeah.
Dominic Lombard. I can never pronounce his name, but Dominic, and it was like a handful of names. I was like, just pick one. Why are you?
Yeah.
Like, yo, this is on the director. You have a problem. The director's a problem. Like, you don't know what you want, because all of us would be great.
Yeah.
Why are you making me like? And I got to the point. I remember I first thought, I was like, I want to ask this director, do some push-ups when I come in. Like, who the fuck are you to make any of us come in and read to play? Like, it's not like it's a librarian from London with a British accent who's like, all of us.
Yeah.
Why are we reading for you? If you want to have coffee, meet us all separately for coffee.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you should be to be graced with all of our presence. Like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
But you talked about in Three Kings, which is an iconic, great, dope movie, David O. Russell.
It's incredible.
You talked about the audition process with that. I'll let you explain the audition process for David O. Russell, and how when you go to meet and or read with a creative, smart director, the difference between doing what I just articulated. But break down your David O. Russell, Three Kings. David O. Russell, who's done what other films?
He did. His first breakout was Spanking the Monkey. Then he did
Silver Linings Playbook,
Insane.
which is one of my favorite movies, period.
Insane. Yeah.
Beautiful movie.
Like, yo, your boy is kind of like that. Who kind of like your little brother, doppelganger.
Dash. Yup.
That's my boy.
Yup.
So it's like
Good people.
Yeah, the best.
Yeah.
So he's done a million. David's done,
Silver
The
Lining
Fighter.
Playbooks. He's sick.
He's incredible. So you saw the clip.
Yes.
Okay, so
But give me the clip too.
here's how it is. So, well, I was just talking to somebody about this yesterday, bro. So, how it should be is this: when you go in for somebody, what I call an auteur. David is an auteur, and when we came up, which is the '90s, you the early '90s, me the mid '90s, you would go in. An auteur is a writer, director, probably producing it too, and can see the shots in his head, knows the soundtrack, like Baz Luhrmann, auteur, David O. Russell, auteur, Wes Craven, auteur. They know all the elements as they're making this. When they shoot it, it's done. They know what they got, right? So when you go in, it's just you. It was me, him, and Mary Verneau. So, and Mary Verneau is like the GOAT, right? So, and David's the GOAT, right? So you go in, and I'm on the Warner Brothers lot, and I go in at probably 4 o'clock. And the first thing I say is, the CAA, no disrespect, sends me in, and they go, and he's like, yeah, what are you reading for? And I go, this role. And he goes, yeah, that's not the role. And I go, why? And he goes, Spike Jonze playing that role. And I go, but no, that's what CAA said. He goes, yeah, you got to pick another role. So he goes, go look at this role. So then I go outside. I learn lines for about 15 minutes. And then I come back in. He's like, yeah, you got to work on it a little bit. Go out there, take an hour. I'm out there working on it. I come back in. He's like, try this, try this, try this. I'm at 45 minutes after the first half hour. He goes, we're going to go eat, work on it, come back.
Again.
Yes.
So you had you read twice already.
In the day.
Right.
In the best way possible.
Right. I got you.
So then I go to the toilet. I'll never forget. He hits me. I'm at the urinal. It's like, you learn it yet? And I'm like, almost. And then I literally was there probably on and off for 4 hours. And it was probably the greatest casting I've ever had, because he just looked at me, tell me when I was messing up, but said, I like you. And Mary's like, yeah, he likes you, Jamie. And just, they worked with me. They molded me. And they just went and did it until he got it right. And at the end of it, he was like, I think you could do this. And I was like, thank you. And he's like, okay. But did I know I had the job? No. Did I feel like I had the job? Yeah. Like, dude, I went in with the different part, read the new part. Then we would improv. And it was just, that's what the business is not anymore. People can look at you as a colonel and shape you because he's an artist.
Yeah.
Mary's an artist.
Yeah.
When I went in with Scream, I wasn't even off book. For people that don't know what that is, meaning know your lines. I knew half of my lines. And they were like, okay, work. It's called workshopping it. Now, I went in, I'll never forget this, like 5 years ago, right before shutdown, I went in for a TNT pilot, like a 3-episode arc. Like you said, they know what it is. You know what it is. Maybe a little out of the box for me because I'm playing like you said, like a little crazier character. But he's still got to have some funniness. But it was like on a drama. 6 years in, I don't know what was that fucking show, some kind of TNT dark. Look, bro, probably 12 people in the room looking at me, analyzing it. Then said, Jamie, you skipped a line. Can you come back? Probably did it 4 times. They said, yeah, we like him. It was a fucking for a director that was like a cokehead. It was like perfect, right? It was like 3 episodes of dead actress, all this shit. Bro, I could have did it in my sleep. No, they went with somebody else, but they really liked it. And
Fuck the really liked it.
Yeah, and then
Don't you resent they really
oh,
liked
for sure.
And I'm like, of course you really liked it. I'm Michael Rapaport.
Yeah.
Motherfucker, like, I'm good.
Yeah.
You really like, you start to feel like you're used, like you sucked something out of me. Of course you really like, you just got a free show, motherfucker.
Yeah. But then it was great. It made me feel good. It was Roger Musunden. Shout out. Love him. He offered me Lucifer. And I was like, oh, it was nice. He just said, yo, here's a role. Boom. So it's like, that's the way I think it should roll for us. You know, definitely you. I think me too. Like, I tell people I'm like Bounce fabric softener. You know me. I'm on the shelf. You know what I can do. Some days I'm hot. Some days I'm not, right? Like, there's a bunch of us in this town, Jay, yourself, Harlan, that have these careers that people kind of don't know what to do with, and the business changed. So, but we're gonna keep going. But yes, the 90s, the early 2000s was a lot of fun. Workshopping, talking, sitting with actors, getting a vibe. Now it's like if you just want, you don't even fucking meet people.
And then, well,
It's on
Zoom.
Zoom.
Have you had to Zoom audition yet?
Yeah.
I haven't done it yet.
I fucking did that. I mean,
I haven't done it, and I hope I don't have to do it.
Yo, my career was buffering. You know what I mean? I'm serious, bro. It's fucking... Dude, it's just a different world, and I don't want to take it personally, but you know what I'm saying?
Nah,
you've done scenes with Woody, you've done scenes with De Niro, you've done scenes with Eddie Murphy, it's
But
insane.
Zoom auditioning is wild.
I know.
It's not cool for any level of actor.
Do you self-tape?
I haven't. Fortunately, Jamie, I haven't had to do it yet.
I don't want to do it anymore.
If I'm going to self-tape,
yeah,
I'm not gonna do it in a room. I'm gonna do it like on the street.
Yeah.
Because I'll feel more comfortable doing that. Like, at least in the room, I'm gonna be humiliated. Like, if I have to, like, you know, if I have to self-tape for something, like if it's like a cop, or if it's like a robber, or if it's like a banker, I'm gonna go into and I'm gonna be like, you know,
yeah,
and it'll be a better tape.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
yeah.
it just seems like better. But like
Keep
this,
it edgy.
It just seems like, because you're out on the street, you're gonna just do better. Your experience what was it like? David O. Russell, you know, he's had mythic sort of these flare-ups with Mark Wahlberg, flare-up with Lily Tomlin. What was your experience with David O. Russell on Three Kings?
I absolutely loved him. I love him to this day. I love him. But here's the difference. I also love George. I love Mark, you know, Cube. That was a cast, man. Nora Dunn, Cube, George, Mark, Spike,
and at an ill
Judy
time.
Greer. Insane.
Where'd
right?
you shoot that?
Saeed,
right.
Cliff Curtis. Like, yo, it was dope, right? It was a mix. We shot it in, I think, Chandler, Arizona. We all stayed at some, shout out Barbara Worth, Holiday Inn Resort. Here's what it is. For me, it's like, look, dude, I'm young. I told people, you pretty much, like the way it is today, and you're going to know what I'm saying, like, you could pretty much trip me, spit in my face, shank me. If I'm on film, I'm good. You know what I mean?
Right.
The goal is to be on film.
Right.
So have I ever seen any crazy shit? Just fights with not in life. I've seen a lot of. That's the creative spot, right? So things are gonna happen. But like I have a big tolerance, so I can put up with anything. Because to me, at the end of the day, it's about the film. So I'll try to tell you is basically he, I don't know what I can say, but him and George had a different style. I'm one for me to speak on it.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to get gossip. I'm
But
just trying
no,
to get
but
a
I
sense
was
of
like seventh on the call sheet, so that's not for me to speak. But in a nutshell, he has one way of working.
Is he a screamer, or was he a screamer on that set?
I mean, like, we were outside. So he's going to be like, yeah. I mean, it's like, we're shooting in the fucking desert, bro. That might be like, our first AD was hilarious. I think his name is Julian. This is a legend dude, and legend guy. And there was a scene, I don't know if you remember, it was milk. All this milk.
Yes.
Something happened, and all of the refugees, and they were finally, like, got milk. And
yes.
It was like a big deal because didn't have food. Also, who's in it is the girl from... oh God, she's a legend. She's she was a little girl, and now she was on
It'll come.
Dude, 5G, man, fuck my brain.
Yeah. 5G got you fucked up.
She was on the show with Michael Cera and Bateman,
yes.
Arrested Development.
Yes,
but she was a little girl.
Yes.
Her name is Maybe on the show, but she's brilliant.
Yes.
So anyway, we're doing all this stuff, and there's like 100 extras, and we're giving them milk, and all this white liquid comes, and Julian, like the AD, the people weren't active enough. So he's got the thing, and the AD is like trying to get them going. He's like shouting, and then he goes, "Bathe in it! It's holy water!" And they started bathing, and so it was hilarious. People were fucking taking stuff, putting it on themselves. So was he a screamer? No, just he was a dude that wanted to make. We were making a very hostile. A movie about a hostile thing in hostile conditions with X amount of time. But fights are gonna happen, dude. I could tell you fights on every set I've been on.
See, I haven't seen that many fights. Like the sort of cliche Hollywood fights. Where it's, I haven't seen that many. Like if I was like, say, if you asked me, I go, yeah, maybe one. I had one with one director, but I haven't seen like that. I haven't seen that much. And a lot of people outside of show business would be like, who's an asshole or who's the biggest?
Oh, I hate that.
But I'm always like, me? Maybe like like no, but I haven't seen that many. Like I personally haven't seen that much of it. It's
you haven't seen disagreements.
I've seen disagreements, but where it's worth mentioning. Like you see, like where it's like, this one got into this, or like the Christian Bale moment that got caught on camera. I'm like, first of all, that was a certain kind of thing, and we've, people, like people like they're fascinated by that. But if you contextualize it, it's just sort of somebody saying, "Shut up," da 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 da. But if a movie star doing it. What was your experience on Bowfinger? One of the most. I mean, such an iconic film, such an incredible cast. Steve Martin, Eddie Murphy, in it, like at that time in his career was sick. You must have been amped because I'm sure you grew up an Eddie Murphy fan. I'm sure you grew up a Steve Martin fan.
Yeah.
When you look back on that, what were your days like on that set? How pumped were you? And when you've been on these sets with these people that you grew up loving, because I still to this day at 53. Like, I'm still like, oh, shit. Like, I can't. There's a part of me that's still like, oh, shit. Like, I got to work with Steve Martin on Only Murders in the Building, and I was, like, bugging out off him. Like, I was like, that's fucking Steve Martin. But when you're younger, it's closer to when you were out of the business. What was your experience like working on that film with those people?
Dude, it was icon. It was insane. Think about this, bro. When I went in for my final audition, it was Steve, Brian Grazer, and Frank Oz. And Frank Oz is a legend just as a director, but people don't realize he's Yoda.
Right.
He's Fozzie Bear.
Right.
And Brian produced, billions of movies, from A Beautiful Mind on up. You know what I mean? So working with Steve was pretty much, I was his assistant on the movie. And so I was like, it was the greatest like college summer ever. I was like literally his sidekick. You know what I mean? So I was like Dean. You know what I mean? Like I was just fucking soaping up everything, being with him. I was every day we would be in a scene together. We would eat lunch together, and then Eddie would come out when we had scenes, and so it was like being in probably the greatest PhD program of really comedy and Hollywood. It was like I'm still can't believe how blessed I was.
What was the Eddie Murphy process experience like, especially him doing that character, because he was like, you know, this nerd, and then he would slip, you know, go into like what we expect from Eddie Murphy. Like, what do you remember of watching him work?
It's just brilliant. Basically, in a nutshell, some of the best stuff that you saw is him improvising. So he would play two characters. He would play Kit, who was the flamboyant, you know, wild cat brother, and then the nerdy character. And once those braces went on, and once those glasses went on, he'd be like, well, I don't know. I mean, we would just point the camera and just shoot, and he would just go off. And it was just brilliant, dude.
Brilliant.
Like, brilliant. Like, just insane. Like, Steve, who's brilliant, was also like, this is brilliant. I mean, it was just like watching two maestros. But Eddie he would come in, kill the scene, and then bounce.
Yeah, I mean, Eddie Murphy, that level of talent is not common. I mean, his thing is brilliant, and it's easy to say that, but when you're watching it in real life, you're like, oh shit,
dude. I would just sit there and I would just absorb it. I would just be like, he just tried. He would just, but he didn't.
Explain that though. What you mean by tried?
Well, you know, really. It's never done, right? Like, the whole process is a work in progress. You could talk to any filmmaker, and they'll go, "Ooh, I wish I'd changed this," even when it was a successful movie. This whole thing that we're doing is a try. You know what I mean? We're looking for truth. We're looking for moments, and it's never going to be perfect. So Eddie is brilliant, not just because he's so talented and can do so many things and so versatile, but he's fearless. He just goes and he tries and he trusts in his instrument that it's gonna be beautiful,
right?
And that's what we're
gonna get to the beauty.
Yeah, and it's encouraging because you're just like, okay, just like I'm not him, I can never be him, but I can do my own version of trying. You know, it's like on stage, you try a joke, hopefully it hits. If not, I got another one.
Right.
So it's really about trusting your process.
I agree, and also you know, being in an environment where you can try things, because, you know, you're going back to, you know, what it was like, or this director or that director. You know, I think that when you feel trusted, when you feel safe, when you feel like you can fuck up, or you could feel like you're off rhythm or not getting it right, but you're not feeling like you're like doing something wrong, that's when you're at your best to go.
What you're saying is this is think about this. All the movies you named are made by brilliant minds.
Right.
And they were the freest sets. And they're the ones that I've made. I have about 9 things, I think, on my career throughout the decades that are what I call pop culture staples. And then the hardest shit I ever shot, the shit you never heard of, is like the shit that I was micromanaged into the fucking dust. And I couldn't have fun.
When you walk on a set at this point, I've always had this gift, and my wife, who I've known for years, she'll validate every single time. I've known before the camera starts when it's gonna be a piece of shit, and I've called and I put it on record. This is a piece of shit. This is gonna really. Well, maybe this is going to be a piece. I'm going to work. I'm going to give it my all every day, but this is going to be a piece of shit.
Why do you do it? Just get a little paycheck?
No, you don't know until you don't know until you get there. Because the bullshit and the smoke and mirrors and the talking and the everything, but when you get there and you start blocking or you start reading through, you go, it's just like, I know. There's times where I've just known, like, and there's been this is garbage. This is gonna be fucking hard.
More in TV or more in film?
The times when it was really apparent were films, and they were the bigger films, and it was like,
really,
I've never been in a big like where it's like all popping big film where it's big money and the films that they've been like the smaller ones, but when it's like a lot of money and a lot of, to me it's like from my experiences, I'm sure there's ones where it goes good, but it's just a sense. It's just kind of a like go over there kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And how do you know I should go over there? Like it's just that kind of like thing where you're like, go over there. All right, well, we just got here, man. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, one time I did I think for me TV is a little bit more, and I love it, but it's just so micromanaged.
Yes. Oh my God. The ands, the buts, the who's.
Dude, after you do like 6 of the movies we're talking about, and then your agents send you, got you a pilot, and you're like, why am I doing a pilot? And then you realize, because it's a good gravy train if it worked. And at the time in late 90s, early 2000s, they want you to get on that TV. So I do this pilot, and I had that moment for you. It was about the night before taping, and each day, they were rewriting, and they were doing that thing that we all love to hear is energy.
Right.
More energy or
Right.
faster.
Right.
It's like, what? That's not a direction.
Right.
Right? So the night before we stayed late, really late, they're rewriting the script. Dude pulls out a half a bottle of fucking, I don't know, rum or some shit, Jack, and pours a little glass. I'm like, what is that? And he goes, funny juice. Yeah.
So he gave you needed some funny juice?
Yes.
You needed a little juice, right?
And I was like, I took a shot, but he took a shot. The good news is he took a shot too, because I guess he wanted to write funnier shit. But I'm like, our pilot's coming down to a fucking glass.
This is where we are.
We're hitting half a shot of JD or whatever. It was
Right.
hilarious.
That's funny.
But
and
I was
scary.
But I'm like, I don't think this pilot's gonna go.
No,
bad.
it's going nowhere.
Yeah.
You know.
Funny juice.
Yeah, you need a little funny. We got a little funny juice in here.
In the '80s, that was probably a funny bump.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right. A funny bump.
Right. But I mean, it's a try.
Yeah.
It's a fucking try. I
Yeah.
find some of the best shit we do though is the unmanaged shit. You know what I mean? Like when it's not up ass.
Yeah. Well, speaking of unmanaged, I mean, you know, when you did your Jamie, because when I look at the clips now, and again, I see it mostly on your page, when you post like the Jamie Kennedy experiment, like, I don't want to say it was ahead of it. It was ahead of its time. I don't want to say it's the first, second, or third, but it was like you were doing some crazy shit. Mm-hmm. Do you miss? First of all, how did that show come about? Jamie Kennedy experiment. Like, did it come to you? Did you pitch it?
Back in the day, we had something called holding deals. I'm sure you grabbed a few of them.
Yes.
And they were fucking amazing money.
Yes.
It basically would pay you for a year of your life not to do anything. So I had a deal with Fox, and I couldn't do nothing but just meet with Fox people. So one of the shows I met on was a cartoon pilot called Family Guy. Went deep, didn't get it, right, Seth? And then the second one I met with a guy by the name of Greg Daniels, and he had a show, and then he created The Office. So, but I've met tons of people, but those are just two that became these, monoliths. So you meet with everybody on the lot. You try to do some shit. You do guest spots. I did a couple of guest spots on shows. And then at the end of the year, nothing happened. WB then gave me another deal for the next year. Did it. At the end of my deal, they extended it for 3 more months, and they said, we like you. There's something here. And I just basically, long story boring, is I auditioned for SNL twice. Never got it. Had 2 sides of me. People knew me from movies and just kind of acting. And then I had all these characters from stand-up. Met with the creators of Mad TV at the last minute. It was an 11th hour play. They came up with some stuff. I did my characters. We put it together. They said the Jamie Kennedy experiment. We pitched it to Jordan. He's like, I love it. He was a young, beautiful, and Suzanne Daniels, who was Greg's wife, they both ran the network. They said, we just love this idea. Pilot. As we shot the pilot, they're like, we love it. And they didn't give us 9, they gave us 7.
Uh-huh.
So, but it was enough, and we were made outside of the box, kind of like this alternative programming. I could tell you 10 hours of development and back and forth, but eventually we got it because it was so weird. They didn't know what it was, but they just loved it. And it was really because of creative executives and a president who would see me. He would see me at the Laugh Factory,
Doing comedy.
Yes, and
Because a lot of people don't know that you started as a comic.
As a comic, yes, and an extra. And he would say, "You're the funniest when you bomb." This is another example of tries, right? So I would bomb. I remember Andy Dick went up and killed, and Sarah Silverman killed, and I went up and did this character, and I just ate dick. And I was so mad, and I would react, and he goes, "You're hilarious because you get so mad when you bomb, and then it becomes really funny." So he, because I bombed in a funny way, liked me. And then when he was a junior executive, when he became the president of the network, that's how I got a deal.
Was this before Scream or after Scream?
I was bombing much before Scream. Then I had about 5 years, and he moved up the executive ranks to president, and I moved up to, become a known thing.
But you had done Scream and then Jamie Kennedy Experiment?
Yeah. I did about 5 years of movies.
Okay.
And then I was like really close, and I was up for this movie called Mission to Mars, and I was so mad. I was like, I really wanted that movie, and I didn't get it.
What was that movie?
It was a big Brian De Palma movie, Jerry O'Connell, Val Kilmer.
And
Jerry.
Tom Sizemore?
I think Tom, God rest his soul. And bam, dude. And then I was like, because that was like, I was always, how you are a cop or a drug dealer, I was always like the sidekick, right? Like what women want. I went in like 4 times for that. I thought I was going to get that. Feuerstein, he's the man. He got it. So I was always like kind of standing next to these humongous stars, like in Bowfinger and stuff. So I had about 4 years of that. And then it's just, I stopped getting those roles. And so my agent's like, TV. So Jamie Kennedy Experiment after all that.
How many years did you do Jamie Kennedy Experiment?
3.
And explain to the viewers, or explain to me also, you're like in the wild. This is before cell phones. This is before everything. Like, this is when you could do shit like that.
Yeah.
Like now it's, Eric Andre killed it with his movie. Did you see it?
I heard it's amazing.
It's bugged out, especially in this day and age. And he's a famous person.
Yeah,
like it's good. But would you call it a prank show? Like, how would you describe it?
Dude, I call it a psychological experiment. To me, it was always a mix between candid camera. Alan Font was a hero, and Eddie Murphy was my other hero. So it was like doing Eddie Murphy type of characters in the wild, so people really believed it. And of course, I thought the town would like it because they would go, "Oh, he's a good actor," right? Because he put on prosthetics and stuff. But the town just would say, "I like your little prank show. It's really funny." But I there's a whole story I have because Nicole.
Social media would have served that show really well.
Dude, you're telling me.
If we had social media would have served that show. It would have really served. We didn't have it.
I know.
Can't say it now, but
dude, people would pass around the tapes.
Yeah.
They would literally record the tape and pass. That's where we were, right? So I remember when Nicole Kidman won for Cold Mountain. I'm like, that's the same prosthetic nose I wear. But since it's a drama, she got it. But since I'm doing a fucking...
That's my fucking nose.
Right? Like, I'm like, oh, because...
You stole my fucking nose, Nicole Kidman.
Because it's funny, people don't take it seriously, right?
Right.
Which is a whole deeper conversation. We could talk to your stepfather, which first Mark told me that back in the day, how we should have our own category.
Yes.
So... to do the show, though, dude, because on movies, I tell people this, and you know this. It's like, we're getting picked up. We're doing a town car. We're doing you're doing a press in, like, Paris. You're at the Four Seasons. You're living, right? We don't have to think. The first episode we do of the Jamie Kennedy Experiment, I knew it was going to be great creatively, but I'm literally hiding in a closet with a fake nose, with a lav on, in some fucking tight-ass wardrobe with a weird prop, and there's a real lady out there, and I'm in Glendale. And I'm like, this ain't the movie business anymore. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm a loser. And I'm like, this has got to work. So I go out, we do the first prank, and it fucking goes crazy. It was fucking, I could hear the producers just dying laughing in my ear. And once we did that, it was just on, and it became a different thing. But I had to get used to it not being a movie. I had to get used to this being this wild sketch show in the wild.
Yeah, I mean, that's not just doing TV.
No.
That's not, and it's also, I mean, it could have been a movie, but that's a different kind of performing.
I never knew
and
anything.
And you're scared, and you're also, you're a compassionate person, and you're like, because
I felt bad, bro.
I couldn't do it. I wouldn't be able to do it. I don't think I'd be
Why?
able to.
You would break?
No, I just would. I mean, I would be able to do it to a certain point, but I feel like because you're tricking people in a way, you know,
Yes.
like, and that would, and as much as like I'm hard and, you know, I talk my shit, like I would bug out off of that. Like, I think I could do it in certain circumstances, but like when you're saying a woman, you're in Glendale, I'm like, what did you do to her?
Well, I'm
what
gonna
did you
tell
make
you.
her think you were on fire? Like,
No,
what did you do?
no, I wasn't.
You were having a heart attack?
My
Like-
shit was always sweet, but like you would get exactly like I never wanted to be mean. I don't think I was ever mean.
No.
Right. My whole thing was do a character that was cool, right? So that was really believable. Have a scenario that was crazy, and then have a mark that was really gullible. So I did one called Jawman. I don't even know if you remember that. So this is exactly what you're talking about. Do you remember? And I would do this whole interview with him, and they were like, he just had some jaw surgery, but don't mind. And then I was like, and it was like, long story boring. You have to watch it, but I'm drooling and all this shit. And the lady was so sweet, and they're like, so you're gonna be taking notes, and then I was giving her a thing. I'm like, and I was like, do you dictate? And she's like, I'm sorry, I can't understand it. And then she started getting sad, and then I was like, no. And so we got the bit, and then we were like, it's okay. But she felt bad for me. So that was like what you say when people feel bad. But I was never fucking mean. I hope not. A golf guy, that's another story, threw a putter at me. That was the angriest one. The angriest one of all time was a golfer. Who are the angriest fucking people? So we do that show, and it was just a wild time. But once we did this playback on Friday nights, we would have the playback for the studio audience, and that's when we would see if all the laughs were real, and then we'd see if the bits worked. And once the first weekend happened, it was fucking insane. The playback was incredible. The audience loved it. We went to Morton's. We would get that back room in Burbank, stayed fucking all night, multiple bottles. And it was just a beautiful...
A funny juice.
Yeah. And it was just a beautiful time to be alive.
Right.
They would send me to Vegas. I would go to Babies. Remember Babies?
Yes.
And I would just do promotion giveaways. I'd go to the pool. I would go to the Palms pool. I'd go to the... I'd go to fucking Fort Lauderdale. I would go to spring break. It was a time.
Right.
And it was a great time, and it introduced me as a comedic person. Before I was just an actor, but then I was, at that time, and you were doing it too, I was trying to become a funny entity.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, if it worked, then you get your $10 million movies and you roll them over.
How conscious were you? One thing that I wasn't conscious of, man, like between like, in my... I wasn't really conscious. I didn't get conscious of this until late, and I'll be totally honest, of commodity. I always wanted my money, but I never looked at myself as like, this is going to do this year, and this is going to do that. Like, I didn't think that way. And I didn't have the people that were sort of, and if they did, I would be like, nah, I'm just trying to, be real, and, like, I didn't look
You
at
were
myself.
thespian mode?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you were
Yes.
like in New York, you kept it gully. You kept it gangster.
But even in my thing, it was like, it was almost like a rapper mentality. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't like in a business mentality. But how conscious were you of yourself as a commodity and the business of Jamie Kennedy and the business of being an actor, and or when did you get conscious of it? At what age? At what point? It sounds like you were probably a little bit more conscious of it earlier than I was.
Well, I would say I started getting in the movies. I mean, my first movie ever was Romeo and Juliet, which was an insane intro. Before that, I just did some guest spots and I did commercials. So then I remember when I started getting in the business, the whole thing was a movie going to make $100 million, right? And the second movie I ever did was Scream. And then the third movie was Scream 2. So every movie I was doing, and Enemy of the State and Bowfinger. So I was in a string of like 5 or 6 $100 million movies. So it's but now I'm not the lead. Leo's the lead, or George Clooney's the lead, or Mark's the lead. But I was like part of these. I got an amazing ride along, right? So then I'm like, okay, so let's keep this moving. So I wanted to try to get my indie. You get your Sundance role. I did a couple of those indies that didn't go, like LA Film Festival. I don't know if you remember that, but for a minute, that was like a spot where you could kind of, and those didn't really pop. So then my agents were like, you got to do TV. And like I said, so I had these development deals. They're like, you're funny. You should blow up as a comedian, like in movies and TV, and then you're gonna be able to call your shots for something
Got you.
dramatic. So I would say probably 2099.
You started looking
Yeah.
at it. Because when you're young, how old were you when you did Romeo and Juliet?
25.
Shit.
Yeah.
We're so fucking young and so stupid.
I know. I mean, I was like, dude. I mean, look at all. It was just. I was literally just.
You're tripping because you're like,
I was like, well, Leo was about to become Leo. Leguizamo was one of my idols. You know, Paul Rudd was just popping, but you know he's gonna Dash. I mean, so I was like, I would always hang with Dash, and he kind of like trained me on like how a set is. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was, I'm just happy to be there for the first 4 or 5 years. I'm just fucking happy to be there. You're standing in a room with Will Smith. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, once I started realizing, and people started saying you're funny, and I started seeing the feedback, and you go to screenings, and you're Man's Chinese, and you're in a movie theater, you hear a laugh, you know, it all changes. So I thought, you know, my agents had Will Ferrell, and so I was like, okay, they had all different funny people. So I was like, okay, I could do. At the time, people don't remember this. My agent had he had Matt LeBlanc, George Lopez, Will Ferrell, me, David Cross, and Chappelle.
Wow.
Probably more. That's just off the top of my head. And people don't remember this. Chappelle was doing a fuck ton of movies. He was doing Blue Streak. He was doing Nutty Professor. He was doing so many movies. And that was our thing.
Right.
Where we were like, yeah, you're doing comedy, but really you got to blow up in the movies.
Right.
So it was we were all, our lane was the $8 to $10 million Robert Simons, get in one of those movies, make a hit, do another one, roll it over.
What was your you said you auditioned for SNL twice.
Mm-hmm.
What was that process like? Was it as weird as everybody says? And what was your highlight and low light of that time doing it? And does your audition tape live somewhere? Do you have it? Because you see like pop, this person will be like, like his audition tape, for Saturday Night Live. So talk to me about those experiences.
Like I said, I was doing a ton of stand-up, wasn't getting anywhere, and then I was doing, I started getting commercials and some guest spots. So, but I had enough characters. You go and you meet Lorne Michaels. He has a deal on the Lot, and you go on the Lot.
Which lot?
Paramount. And they have that whole Broadway video. And so they say, you may wait a little bit when you go to meet him. You wait. You know what I mean? He's got a lot going on. So I think I got there at like 1, and I probably waited till like 6.
Shit, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And there's no cell phones.
No, it was 94.
Shit.
And he comes at the end. I'll try to do the impression. And he literally had gone in and out all day doing different meetings.
Is there other people auditioning?
No. Nobody was auditioning that I know of. This was just the original meeting. And so he had productions going on and all this different things. And then he came out at the end of the day, and he goes, I try to do him, but he's like, I hear you do a lot of characters. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, would you like to go to New York? Bam. And that was it.
That's what you waited 5 hours for.
Yo, bro, you gotta wait. You gotta wait, bro. You're 23 years old. You gotta wait. So then I go in and I go to, I want to say Gotham or The Cellar, one of them. I audition. I do a bunch of different characters, but it was in a comedy club, which was cool because I thought, oh, okay, I didn't do Groundlings, but I knew Sandler popped off of comedy. Obviously, Eddie was always a comedian. But at that time, they were taking more comedians, just as many as Groundlings.
Uh-huh.
Had a pretty good set. Wasn't killer, but wasn't bad.
Is there a crowd there?
Yeah.
Or is it? It's not an empty room.
No, it's
like
packed.
you see some. Okay, so you're doing. Okay, so you're doing your Saturday Night Live audition.
Yeah, it's a stand-up.
As a stand-up.
Yes.
And you're doing straight up characters. You're not no crowd work.
No. You get like 6 minutes, and so I'm just doing from character to character. Like this is blah blah something. This is blah blah. And I did it pretty good, but I didn't kill, but I didn't die. But I know that he has always been able to look at you, I've heard, and mold you. And Molly Shannon was there, and she killed. And then before I get on the plane, which was like, my manager's like, I don't want to ruin your plane ride, but it's not going any further. And I was like, why? And they're like, they said you don't do enough political impressions. And I said, But I was 23. I didn't even know what politics was. I was like, tell me who to do. You want me to do like Dick Cheney or what? He wasn't even around then. You want me to do fucking, fucking Bush? Like that was Dana's thing, right? So I fly back to New York.
That must have been a shitty flight.
Oh, bro, it was just the only good was first class, like one of my first class. And then that was it. I had a good agent, and then I was like, bum. And then I talked to Molly, and Molly didn't get it either. And I was like, wow, this is wild. Like, she killed it too. And I had no idea what to do. And my manager, Pam Thomas, was like, well, you got to start auditioning. So I remember standing in front of the Comedy Store. It was 1994. It was like the summer of 94. I was not in there at all. I would do like potluck, and I would get those please allow because I was becoming known in town. So I'd get like a 5-minute. And I just stood out there, and I was like, literally, that corner. And I was like, what am I going to do? Why am I doing stand-up? Because I didn't really want to be a comedian. I used it as a showcase. And I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do? And then I started audition. Somehow I got APA. I got APA. And they were like, we're going to send you on audition. So they did. And one of the first things I ever got, God bless him, is Stan Lathan.
Right.
Gave me a role in his HBO pilot called The Corner. And he gave me one of my earliest breaks. And that was because he had saw me at the store and doing a 5-minute spot, and he brought me in.
You are still doing stand up. Do you where's your head at with stand up now? Do you love it? Do you like doing weekends?
And Molly got it the next year, by the way.
She
Which
came off.
Yeah, go ahead.
You, like I said earlier, you encouraged me. You're like, yo, you should do it. You'll have fun. You'll be great.
But to go back to you, dude, people don't realize that you kind of started as a stand-up too.
I did start as a stand-up.
People don't realize that when I would walk in the Improv, I would fucking sign up and do those Mondays. Like, I'm talking 90, 91.
Yeah.
And you were up there.
Yeah.
And
I was just starting.
Yeah, but you were always around.
Yeah, I was always around.
Then when you got Zebrahead, everyone's like, yo, Mike just got Zebrahead.
Yeah.
And it was like, then it was gone. It was like, yo, you became like a fucking legit actor.
Yeah.
So, but you started as a stand-up.
Yes.
I didn't know that you didn't keep doing it.
I didn't keep doing it, and because I fell so deeply in love with acting, and it just came so easy to me. Like, it's like I didn't think about being an actor until I got called in for an audition, and I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. Because I grew up wanting to be a basketball player, and this is shit I talk about all the time on my podcast, whatever, but I wanted to be a basketball player. I knew I was gonna be a basketball player like at 15, 16. I was fucking around, whatever. I started doing stand-up, and I enjoyed it, but I didn't it didn't come natural. I didn't like the discipline of it. I didn't like the repetitiveness of it. And then, like, the first audition I ever went, I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I was like, it was just like, not to say a beautiful mind, but I was like, this is what I'm fucking doing. I'm doing this. There ain't no way I'm not doing this. I'm getting this fucking part. And, it made sense to me. You know what I mean? And then I, just started, acting. And now I love stand-up now because of all the things that we talked about in this interview, in this podcast, that we don't like about being an actor. The constraints, when you're a stand-up, you're the actor, you're the director, you're the lighting person, you're the editor, you're the wardrobe, you're everything. It's complete freedom, good, bad, or indifferent. And it's also still a challenge for me because and it's also like such an open playing field, because as long as you're living, there's things to talk about on stage. And I love that aspect of it. I don't love the fifth show of a weekend, because you're like, did I say that already? You're just like,
yeah.
And I don't have enough material or the skill set to at the fifth show to be like, I'm just gonna do something totally different for this fucking hour.
But you don't do this. You don't do a different hour every hour, do you?
Hell no.
Well, yeah, so you do your hour.
Yeah, or
you'll mix it up. And,
I mix it up and I play around.
Crowd.
But you know what I'm talking about when it's like, you're like, did I?
Yeah.
Because you've done it. But like, what do you like about stand up on the road? Because doing 15 minutes in town, that's total freedom.
Yeah. Well,
Except for because now everything's on blast. Don't you hate that?
Everything. Yeah, it's weird. You can't work it out because you're being documented.
Not at the big show.
Because I gotta go to a show with you and Harlan and Liza and Whitney. It's like the guns are out.
They're like Louis C.K.
I know.
What the fuck is going on here? Like people are coming. They want to see a show.
Yeah, I know. It's like you want to work out, but you're literally doing, John Mulaney. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's
like the other night, it's like John Mulaney. Eliza Schlesinger.
Yeah.
Fucking this. I'm like,
you, Piven.
What is this shit, man? Like you.
And that's a compliment because we literally have to be tight because that's
but I'm on a Tuesday night with Louis C.K.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? That's not.
I know.
It shouldn't be publicized. Just come
Work
to the
it
Improv
out.
or the Laugh Factory Comedy Store. You're gonna get a good show. But when it's like people come in to see a show.
Yeah, no, and what's crazy is when you were not in the game, it was you did one club. There was like the fiefdoms. Now, I mean, a couple weeks ago I did Improv Factory Store. Every show was sold out. It was one of these like Avenger lineups, like you're saying, and it's like you got to be on, right? So you can't just work it out.
Where do you work your shit out here now, or where do you work out now? Like, I mean, when
Where
I say
do I work
out,
if I work it out.
I mean, when I'm saying it to be, I mean like practice. He's saying we saying work. He's saying practice new shit.
Yeah.
For the very first time.
Yeah. You can do it in the lab,
which is good.
But even those shows are packed.
Yeah, they're like Adam Sandler's in. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yo, the belly room. But even those shows are packed. Really, Ha-Ha. You can sneak it to Ha-Ha late at night and get some reps in. Ice House. But let me go back to what you were saying about stand-up. Totally different for me than it ever was. Because it used to be become known, right? Here's the perfect thing is become known as a stand-up, headline clubs, get a TV deal, become a sitcom star, get a movie, become a movie star. It's a wrap. And then, and like 2014, everything was everything. I saw literally people like Kevin Hart was like starring in Husbands of Hollywood, had $100 million movie, and I saw that he did The Weekend at Flappers. And I'm like, this dude, he literally like was like everywhere. And I'm like, you just played like Madison Square Garden. And something happened where you just worked. Like social media you there was a thing where you would do a certain level and you didn't go back. And then something happened with social media where you started just going everywhere, right? Like that's how you have these lineups. Like for ticket sales, those lineups don't need to exist, meaning all those people you're talking about could sell 2,000, most of them 2,000 tickets or more a night, right? They don't need to go and do a 200-seater with, and only do 15 minutes.
They're going to practice too.
Yeah, but it's hard, but I think it's hard to practice because I think we all have to, for me, I want to do good because we're around these amazing people.
Right,
So,
you don't want to suck with, like, I'm like, Louis C.K.'s like going on after me. Like, I don't want to drop dead. Like, I had intentions one night to practice all new shit, and I got there and like Louis going after. I'm like, well, fuck, man, I don't want him because I mean, just because I have reverence for him. Like one night, Seinfeld. I'm like, now he just popped in, but I'm like, well, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, I know. So I remember that we did a show in New York. It was me, you, it was Chrissy, it was I think Tim Dillon popped. I mean, it's a lot of heavy hitters. So it's a good pressure to have, but I feel the pressure.
Yeah, and it takes
yeah, I know.
Where you want to practice shit because there's certain you have to.
If
practice.
you want to practice, go to Flappers, sneak in Flappers
on a Monday.
Anytime you can walk in, I'm sure they'll let you. And but going back to what you're saying about about stand up, I think more important than ever, and I believe I'm more into it than ever. I do it now because it's like. It's really because it loves me. Like the community is very loving to me, and also I get to say what I want. It's more important than ever to do and put like what you're doing right now, is like you're putting out fucking God's work. I'm serious. You're saying your opinion in a belief, whether people believe you or not.
Right.
You're fucking gathering your tribe, and this is your truth, and you're not lying.
Right.
That's how you believe.
Right.
And we might believe a lot of the same stuff. We might believe some different stuff, but you're saying what you want, and it's. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think it's helpful to the world to share your truth.
I agree.
And as an actor. actor, as much as I love it, we're just fucking pawns in the game. And with podcasting, with social media, with clips,
Yeah.
A, your career can blow up just off a clip now. And B, it's a way for people to really know you.
Yes, yes.
So I think it's more important than ever. And you can go to Montana and sell 1,000 tickets you didn't even know were there, and also talk about real shit.
Yeah.
You can become your own fucking Carlin.
Do you find now, because your stuff on YouTube, your stuff on your podcast has leaned into politics? I never gave a shit about politics. Literally. I mean, literally. I didn't give a fuck.
I know.
I mean, not 0.0.
Bro.
I couldn't tell you anything.
Bro, you were on the ones and twos. You were fucking, you were fucking KRS-One, and I was like following you. Like, we were hip hop, we were breakdancing, we were ball. That's all it was. That was fun, right? Pop bottles, you can't say bitches, women. You know what I mean? Can you say that? Have fun, right?
Right.
That's what my space was in entertainment.
How did your sort of point of view change, or you get interested, or you get frustrated by it?
I'm going to tell you, and then I want to hear how you did it.
Okay.
Because, like, I tell people this is a joke. I don't really have it written yet, but I'm like, this is how bad politics is. I'm talking about it. Fucking.
That's what I said.
Right? Like, yo, B-Red. I should be fucking rapping in Malibu. I should be doing a breakdance. Like, the fact that I'm talking about it is fucking nuts.
I've said something similar.
Right?
To that.
No, totally 100%, bro. Like, we're fucking. That's not. I was in Dr. Dolittle. You know what I mean? I played a raccoon. And you're telling me for your politics? Like, you were in. Give me one of your funniest movies. You know what I mean? Like,
No, I was in Dr. Dolittle too.
oh yeah, yo, we're both in Dolittle. What did you play?
I think a raccoon.
No, you played a raccoon. I played the stray dog. That's right. You were in it too.
Yes, I was a raccoon.
So Zach, we're both in Dr. Dolittle, and so here's what happened. I just listen. I don't even want to talk to you about this. So I'm going to go gently. You whatever you believe, and whatever I believe. And the beauty of us is that we can respect each other and still love each other, and we fucking get down. But I think because the biggest thing with me is hypocrisy.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of hypocrisy I never was anything. I wouldn't even care about voting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, George Carlin didn't vote for the longest time. So if you want to say I was anything, I was an independent. You know what I mean? I was like, do what you want in your private life, love who you love, just let me keep my money. You know what I mean? And if there's policies and to help the homeless, of course I'll pay into that.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate. But I think when people I started seeing this crazy hypocrisy. And I started going, this is so weird. And then COVID hit. And there was a lot of fucking shady shit. And then I started just kind of putting my fucking 2 cents in there. And people seemed to like it. But I tried to say it with the kind of informed mind. Like, I talk about this, bro. Like, people hate the term do your own research. They hate the term fucking look at whatever. But if you're going to buy a house right now, and you're going to fucking go over here on Sunset and La Brea, and you're going to look for a fucking house, aren't you going to look at comparables? Aren't you going to look at the neighborhood? Aren't you going to look at the school? You'd be called an informed fucking shopper.
Right.
We do that with a lot of other shit right now. We're called conspiracy theorists. So
That's true.
So it's like, to me, that's what we do. That's all you do every day is ask questions.
Do you consider yourself Republican? What do you consider yourself now? Honestly.
Dude. I was an independent, and now I'm not registered as anything, but people have put me down as this kind of Republican.
Yes, I'm sure. On social
Yo,
media, right?
for sure.
You're like they're like, you're one of the cool ones. It's like,
or no, I'm not. Like, they call me like I should live in Florida. I'm right wing. But yo, they've also said this about Russell Brand. That's
Right.
crazy.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, I consider myself an independent, but probably I'm going to be considered a Republican. But there's shit about Republicans I like, and there's shit about them I hate. Just the same with Democrats. Just with liberals too.
they're fucking.
There's liberals I love, and the liberals I'm like, yo, you're nuts. But
100%.
so it's like, am I allowed to say
There
that?
should be more teams. That's
Yes.
the biggest problem is that It's like as if you could only choose the Yankees and the Dodgers.
Yes.
And that's it. That's it. You got to pick one of those two teams, and there's nowhere else to go. And we could talk this independent Green Party shit. At the end of the day, you need to pick the Yankees or the Yankees or the Dodgers, because there is no Red Sox, there's no Twins, there's no nothing.
No, but you're saying that's how it is now, though.
I know, but there
that's
should
not
be
good.
more. There should be more teams to pick from.
Or there's a lot of levels in there.
I know,
People
and-
are too loyal to the stripes.
I know. It's not good. It's not fucking good. And it's just not good. It's not good. And I don't know if it's never going to change. I don't think that's going to ever change, that Democrat, Republican, and that being the two teams to pick from. It's pathetic.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's crazy. Since you've articulated your opinion on politics, on social issues, have your shows, the people that come to your live shows, your stand-up shows, has it changed? Has the temperature changed? Is it people that want to see? And it must be because people want to see Scream Jamie Kennedy,
Yep.
Jamie Kennedy Experiment,
Yep.
Mass 2 Jamie Kennedy,
Yep.
who know nothing about your political stuff. And then there's people who are like, talk your shit, talk your shit, right?
Yeah, well, for sure, bro.
And do you feel a pressure to serve? Because when people come to see you in Kansas City, Chicago, whatever, like, you want to give them the best show possible.
Yes.
And if you get the divide, like now, I like talking shit about Trump. I like talking shit about Biden.
Yeah.
But it's funny when I talk shit about Biden, it no one cares. No, and I talk a lot of shit about Biden.
Yeah, you do. You do.
I bang on that motherfucker.
Yeah.
But I really bang on Trump because
you
I
bang on
just
Trump.
don't like this motherfucker. But when you're at your shows, do you feel like the audience has changed in the last few years? Like they want to hear you talk your shit? And how do you sort of compartmentalize it, service them because they're customers, they're fans? Like, is it confusing to you? Do you feel like you're being pressured into sort of leaning one way? Like, how do you sort of make sense of it?
All right, there's a lot there. I'm going to try to give simple answers. It used to be when you would go, let's say I would go to Tempe Improv, right? And so you do 6 shows, and it's Jamie Kennedy, and it's The Thing. So you know him from the movies, you know him from Experiment, you know him from this. People pretty much, before COVID and really when social media took off, they think they're getting B-Rad. For a while, people just thought I was going to come out as a character. I'm sure you get that, too. Like, they think you're going to
No,
be...
but your character game is strong.
Yeah.
Which is something I wanted to ask you about acting, but I don't know if we're going to get to
that.
it. Like, your characters are...
Thank
like,
you.
I consider, like, your strongest shit... I mean, you're a character actor to me, like, truly, and I don't mean that in looks or in the second guy. Like, you go into the character.
I try, man. Thank you. It means a lot coming from you.
You're on that shit.
I
it's a
appreciate
different thing. It's not as... I don't do that as much, and it's a different skill set, and it's a great skill set that I respect, but I don't want to go down that minutia. If we can, we'll double back
I
to it.
appreciate that.
Okay,
man.
go ahead.
It's basically they think they're coming in to see that guy, so it's fun, it's light. That's kind of my MO, right? Like, I'm fun, lovable, everybody laugh, have a good time, kind of like, we're gonna like fuck around and I'm gonna take you to the edge, but it's not gonna be like too offensive. Post-COVID, during COVID and stuff, and me being online, people are more, they're like, I would probably say 25% now come in that are like, speak your truth, brother. You're doing God's work. And they're like, you're brave. And I was like, yo, I'm not mad. Come on, give me something. Yo. And I like it. I'm about it. I'm not going to lie to you, bro. I get some fucking red, white, and blues in there. You know what I'm saying? And they'll buy the hat. They'll buy the shirt. And so, listen, I get a lot of different people in my crowd. But I saw a girl like a couple weeks ago. She had a big ass pink streak, and I was going into some gender shit, and she laughed.
Right.
So you can't judge a book by its cover.
I agree with that also.
And so, at La Jolla, I had in the Comedy Store, I had a great mix of people. And at the end of the day, here's what I want to say. I want to only go more and more for my shit talk, like a baby you, of like, I started a podcast just because I didn't want to be the dinner entertainment for the Friday Night Late Show. Like, I don't want to be the guy that happens to be playing Applebee's. And what I mean by that is a lot of people will come in and just buy tickets sometimes to the place and even not even really be invested in who they're seeing.
Yeah.
And so I want people to know what I'm about, so they
Uh-huh.
come and buy, because I don't want to do an uncomfortable show.
Uh-huh.
But I obviously feel it out. But at the end of the day, I'd like to be the most truthful, pushing. But there's times, though, that people get bummed out.
Yeah.
And you start talking, and I feel bad. They paid $25-$30 a ticket, so I'll pull it back. And then I'll go and try to make them laugh more. But there's other times where they're just about it. And obviously, it's different places. You know, Florida has a rep, dude. It ain't exactly what people say.
I agree. I love doing shows in Florida.
Absolutely. You heard it right here. 100,000%.
I fuck with Florida. Like every time I go down there, I'm like, this is dope.
All day.
The shows are dope.
Yeah.
The people are dope.
Dude, you go to Tampa, Brian runs it right. And dude, he's got as many liberals as he's got
100%.
like fucking, I love you, brother.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's a mix. And guess what? It's fucking, it's what they say about it is not true.
I agree.
And so that, like Side Splitters, a beautiful club,
Yeah.
beautiful room. You can work it out. And at the end of the day, yeah, I want people who fuck with me. But I have multiple facets
Yeah,
to it.
yeah, yeah.
But so just like you're very political.
Yeah.
But you're also just funny without being political.
Yeah.
But do I want to grow it into my real voice, my adult voice? Yes, I do.
Where are you at? How concerned are you about our strike, SAG strike, Writers Guild strike? Like, what do you think is going to happen here?
Bro, I could tell you some shit because I just had a good conversation with somebody about this, and I don't know what I can say, but I'm going to try to say it. First of all, I love Fran. I worked with Fran.
What'd you work with her on?
I did a show called Living with Fran.
Okay.
And I was one of the creators of it.
Okay.
Me, a guy named Dave Garrett, Josh Edding, and it was beautiful. And a guy named Ryan McPartland was her lover in it, and it was basically about a cougar. And
Okay.
so I love Jolie Fisher. I work with her. So I think we're in great hands. But I think there's a lot going on that people don't realize. First of all, the strike is not going to end in 2023. There's no way. There's no way. Dude, I went by Warner Brothers yesterday. You know the triangle where you see the 3 posters?
Yeah.
Empty. With like old glue stick tape. It looks like a fucking 42nd and fucking Broadway billboard. There's nothing on it. That's weird. Okay? The shit was empty. The studio doesn't look like there's any action going on. So I personally think the strike is not going to stop until 2024. I also think that people don't realize there's a lot of stuff from page 23 to 27 in the agreement that they have not read. So do you know this one point? That if you do a TV show, and let's say basic TV shows are 6 episodes now, let's say for a streamer, do you know they have the right to hold you up to 36 months, including from the day of you start production?
Yes. I know that.
And do you know that's without pay?
Yes.
And how do you feel about that?
It's not dope at all.
How many people know that?
I think people in our business are becoming more and more informed about it now.
They don't. You do not get paid, and you know that if you do reshoots, that you are not getting paid.
Yeah.
And do you know that if you get a new job and the reshoots that you're not getting paid for, they would be in first position
Yeah.
to the pay?
It's not good.
No.
The shit needs to be fixed.
And you know that also that this waiver, is it? What is it called?
Yes.
That people are out doing films.
Yes.
They agreed to the waiver that's on those pages now. So by doing these waiver films, I'm saying go do your thing. You're agreeing to this interim agreement, which a lot of people don't realize is in there. So there's also people's insurance are being fucked, bro.
It ain't good.
No. And so I don't think people realize what certain points that we have that I don't realize that we might have conceded on. And B, it's, dude, the studios right now can fucking just make an AI of you as a background actor, and they don't even need to scan you.
The writers with the AI is more concerning to me.
Oh, that's happening.
That shit is crazy. Cause you could take
That's
to Kill a
happening.
Mockingbird,
100%.
literally,
Yeah.
implement it into a thing. Go give me a draft of To Kill a Mockingbird as a film. It's already been a film, but you could take To Kill a Mockingbird, and it'll give you a draft, which 2 writers could work off of to break that down.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Bro, you could put in give me Star Wars 6.
I know. And it'll give you a script, and it don't need punch-ups.
Yeah.
It don't need rewrites.
Oh, yeah.
But it'll get you, the hardest thing is to crack the code.
98. It'll get you 98 pages.
It'll get you, you can say, give me 150 pages. You can say, give me a sequel to The Godfather.
Yeah. Dude, there's a company you got to watch on a TikTok. I don't know. Different AI. It's not ChatGPT. Where they somehow, I'm not explaining it right, they took South Park, which I think has, let's say 300 episodes, and they did something within South Park where they did an additional 500 episodes within a week. And new storylines, all this shit.
And it put it out?
It could be if they wanted it. They don't have the rights to it, but they just wanted to show the power of their tool. Do you understand what that is?
That's not cool.
Not cool.
That ain't cool at all.
That ain't cool, bro. That weekend at Helium ain't looking bad, right? Like yo, I feel fortunate because I don't have one stream. I do many streams, but is acting going to be disrupted? 1,000%.
Do you still write? You're a writer.
Yeah,
you
write.
wrote Malibu's Most Wanted, right?
I had a lot of help with Nick, my boy Nick's.
But you're a writer.
I try to be, yeah. I mean,
do you feel discouraged by what we just said and going forward? Are you writing stuff outside of comedy right now?
I'm not a typical writer. I probably a lot like you, and I'm not. That's not a diss. Meaning, like when I go on stage, I try some things off the top of my head. If they work, then I kind of write them and shape them. I could see probably that might be your process.
Yes, but I'm a ranter. Like my strongest suit on stage is ranting.
Yes,
and it depends on the rant. You know, sometimes I'll play around with it and go on stage and with the whole thing written out, and sometimes I'll come up with an idea and then sort of go back.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about like films and television. You've written.
Yeah, I have.
You're an accomplished writer.
Well, trying. I mean, I can never write by myself. I always have somebody help me because it's hard to get it out. But I have 3 movies that I've written. I've been trying to make them for 8 years, and one's a horror movie, one's a comedy, romantic comedy, and one is like an edgier piece. And it's a pain in the fucking ass to raise the money. This fucking guy fell through. Then we got $500,000 from a guy who owns a deli in Kansas. So you know how it is. It's like the best money is outside of Hollywood.
Right.
And then, we got foreign pre-sales and all this shit. So I was in the process of getting a couple things going, but it's a fucking nightmare. So it's all discouraging. So that's why I just love doing my own shit.
I hear
building up my shit this way.
I hear you.
And then try to put up. But what am I gonna do? Make a movie and put it right on Tubi? Yeah, I mean, I love Tubi, but
no disrespect to Tubi.
No disrespect, but it's like
I know what you mean.
I don't even know what a TV series is right now. I don't know what a movie is. I think it's about our stand-up, putting our clips out, and just kind of building an army of people and then making the content for them and hopefully them getting it out.
I agree. All right, Jamie Kennedy, banging career.
Thank you, bro.
Way more to give. It ain't over. Philly's finest, Malibu's finest. On the road in the fall?
Yeah, I took off. I'm starting this weekend. I'm going to be out at Schaumburg.
Where's your tickets? AllJamieKennedy.com?
Yeah, just go to JamieKennedy.com.
And your podcast?
Hate to break it to you, Jamie Kennedy.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Never.
My man.
My man, bro.
This was dope. I appreciate it.
Thank you, bro.
This was dope.
Thank you. Peace.
Peace.